Hi, everybody. You're reading with Jimmy. This is Jimmy. We're on Act 5, Scene 2 of William Shakespeare's Hamlet. This, ladies and gentlemen, is, in fact, the big finale. Okay. Scene 2, it's a hall in the castle. Enter Hamlet and Horatio. Hamlet says, "So much for this, sir. Now shall you see the other." You do remember all of the circumstances? Remember, my lord? Hamlet, sir, in my heart, see how they always talk, sir, lord, very respectful. Sir, in my heart, there was a kind of fighting that would not let me sleep. Methought I lay worse than the mutinies in the bilboes. Bilboes is the iron bar, sliding shackles formerly confining a prisoner's ankles. You've seen this perhaps in movies where they got shackles, right? Rashly, and praised be rashness for it, let us know our indiscretion sometimes serves us well. When our deep plots do pall, and that should teach us that there's a divinity that shapes our ends, rough hew them how we will. In other words, there's divinity. Sometimes things happen for reasons that despite what we plan. Well, that's most certain, says Horatio. Up from my cabin, my sea-grown scar about me, this is on his way to England, in the dark, groped I to find them. Had my desire fingered their packet, and in fine withdrew to mine own room again. So he goes to find the sealed orders that remember he's going to England with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. And making it so bold, my fears forgetting manners, to unseal their grand commission, where I found Horatio, royal knavery, an exact command larded with the many several sorts of reasons, importing Denmark's health and England's too, with such bugs and goblins in my life that on the supervised no leisure baited, no, not to stay the grinding of the axe, my head should be struck off. He's telling Horatio that he basically unsealed those orders and saw that, the orders were to execute. Is it possible, says Horatio? Here's the commission. Read it at more leisure. But wilt thou hear me how I did proceed? I beseech you. Being thus benetted around with villainies, ere I could make a prologue to my brain, they had begun the play. Okay, I sat down, devised a new commission, wrote it in fair. I once did hold it as our statists do, a baseness to write fair, and labored much how to forget the learning. But sir, now I did me a yeoman's service. So he's basically saying he revised his handwriting to be very coarse, like a statistician, like status. Status were an advocate of a political system and social affairs, kind of like a lawyer or whatever. But he's right. He can't, these are different writings. He's got to make it look like something else, right? And Hamlet reverses the order. Wilt thou know? Let's go to the next page. There's a footnote here, an allusion to the stage where a play was commonly introduced to a prologue. He says, ere I could make a prologue in my brain. In other words, he didn't really have the time to do the intro. He just devised a new commission. Okay. The effect of what I wrote. So he's basically saying, wilt thou know the effect of what I wrote? You want to hear what I wrote? Horatio, aye, good, my lord. An earnest conjugation from the king, as England was his faithful tributary, as love between them like the palm might flourish, as peace might stiff his wheaten garland, his wheaten garland wear, and stand the comma between the enmities, and many such like asses of great charge, asses of great charge. Don't forget, these people are very good with words, that on the view and knowing of these contents, without debatement further, more or less, that he should have the bearers put to sudden death. Not thriving time allowed him. how was this sealed? So he's basically saying, kill the bearers of this note immediately, which would be Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. So then Horatio says, how was it sealed? Because, if you seal it, it was usually sealed with wax and the mark of the king's ring, whatever, the official seal of the king. Why, even it was heaven ordained. So it's basically this was luck. Heaven ordained this. I had my father's signet in my purse, which had the model of that Danish seal. So I folded the wrap up in form of the other, subscribed it, gave it the impression, right? Placed it safely, the challenging never known. Now the next day was our sea fight, and what was this to be sequent, thou knowst already. So he was taken by the pirates, and he was the only one taken. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern went to England. He got back with the pirates and went back to Denmark. Horatio. So Guildenstern and Rosencrantz go to it? Hamlet. Why, man, they did love to this employment. They're not near my conscience. Their defeat does not their insinuation grow. It is dangerous when the baser nature comes between the pass and the fell incense points of mighty opposites. In other words, yeah, they're the ones who, they volunteered for this. I don't got it on my conscience. Horatio. Why? What a king in this. Hamlet, does it not think thee stand with me now upon? He that hath killed my king and whored my mother, popped in between the election and my hopes, thrown out his angle in my proper life, and with such cozenage, trickery, it's not a perfect conscience to quit him with his arm? And is it not to be damned to let this canker of our nature come in further evil? In other words, you get it now, Horatio? This guy's evil, Horatio. It must shortly be known to him from England. He's going to figure this out, right? What is the issue of the business there? Hamlet, it will be short. The interim will be mine. In other words, before he figures out what happened, the interim will be mine. And a man's life is no more than to say one. But I am very sorry, good Horatio, that to Laertes I forgot myself. For by the image of my cause, I see the portraiture of his. He's feeling bad about his fight with Laertes because don't forget Hamlet killed his father, right? You see that? You see this? Claudius killed Hamlet's father. Hamlet kills Laertes' father. I'll court his favors, but be sure the bravery of his grief did put me into a towering passion. In other words, I really lost it. Horatio, peace. Who comes here? This is first we hear of this quote waterfly, Orsic. Orsic's a courtier, and you'll see they call him the waterfly in a minute. Orsic, your lordship is right. Welcome back to Denmark. Hamlet, I bluntly thank you, sir. Side to Horatio, does this know? Do you know this waterfly? Or aside to Hamlet, no, I don't know, my good lord. To Horatio, thy state is more gracious, for it's a vice to know him. You're lucky. It's a vice to know him. He's got much land and fertile. Let a beast be lord of the beasts, and his crib shall stand at the king's mess. It's enough. It's a cough. But as I say, spaciousness is the possession of dirt. Orsic, sweet lord, if your lordship were at leisure, I would impart a thing to you from his majesty. Hamlet, I will receive it, sir, with the diligence of spirit. Put your bonnet to its right use. It's for the head, so he's holding his hand. I thank your lordship. It is very hot. See how polite they are? Hamlet, no, believe me, it's very cold. The wind is northerly. Orsic, it is indifferent cold, my lord, indeed. Hamlet, but yet methinks it is very sultry. and hot for my complexion. Orsic, exceedingly, my lord, it is very sultry, as it were. I cannot tell how. But my lord, his majesty bade me signify to you that he has laid a great wager on your head. Sir, this is the matter. I beseech you, remember, Hamlet says, and he moves to put on his hat. Moves and put your hat on. Orsic, nay, good my lord, for my case is good faith. Sir, here's newly come to court Laertes, and believe me, an absolute gentleman, full of the most excellent differences, and a very soft society of great showing. Indeed, to speak feelingly of him, he is the card or the calendar of gentry, for you shall find him in the continent of what part a gentleman would see. Hamlet, sir, his definement suffers no preditation in you, though I should know to divide him inventorily would dizzy the arithmetic of my memory. If you chop him up into his great, and yet, but yaw neither in respect to his quick sale, but in the very extolment I take him to be a soul of great article, and his infusion of such dearth and rareness as to make true diction of him. His semblance is his mirror, and who else would trace him of his umbrage? Nothing more. Your lordship speaks most infallibly of him. Umbrage is shadow or shade, right? Hamlet, to conspiracy, sir? Why do you wrap this gentleman in our more roarer breath? Pardon me, sir? Is it not possible to understand in another tongue? Do you really do it, sir? Really? What imports the nomination of this gentleman? Hamlet says. Of Laertes? Aside to Hamlet, Horatio. His purse is empty already. All's golden words are spent. You see, they're talking, this is word fencing. In other words, he's telling Hamlet, guy got nothing left. He's used all his language. Hamlet, of him, sir. Oh, I know not. I know you are not ignorant. Hamlet, I would you did, sir. Yet in faith, if you did, it would not much approve me. Well, sir? You are not ignorant of what excellence Laertes is. I dare not confess, says Hamlet, lest I should compare with him in excellence. But to know a man well, or to know himself. I mean, sir, for his weapon, but in the imputation laid on him by them, in his need, he's fellowed. What's his weapon? Orsic, rapier and dagger. That's two weapons. The king, sir, had wagered with him 6 Barbary horses against which he has wagered, as I take it, 6 French rapiers and poniards, with their assigns, girdle, hangers, and so. 3 of the carriages in faith are very dear in fancy and very responsive to the hilts. Most delicate carriages, and of the very liberal conceit. What call you carriages? Aside to Hamlet, Horatio says, I knew you must have edified by the management ere you have done. Okay. The carriages, sir, are the hangers. Hamlet, the phrase would be more genuine in the matter if we could carry the cannon on our side. I would it might be hangers till then, but on 6 Barbary horses against 6 French swords, there are signs, the 3 concealed carriages of French. But what is impotent? What is this? Orsic, the king, sir, had laid that in a dozen passes between yourself and him, Laertes, right? He will not exceed you 3 hits. He hath laid a 12-9 odds, and it would come to an immediate trial if your lordship would vouchsafe the answer. What if I said no? Orsic, I mean, Lord, the opposition to your person in trial. Sir, I will walk here in the hall, and if it please your majesty, till the breathing time of day with me. This is my breathing time. Let the foils be brought, the gentleman be willing, and the king hold his purpose, and I will win for him as I can. And if not, I will gain nothing but my shame and the odd hits. Orsic, shall I redeliver you? So? Hamlet, to the effect, sir, after what flourish your nature will, Orsic, I commend my duty to your lordship. Yours, yours. See, they're bowing and exit. He does well to commend it to himself. There are no tongues else for his turn. That's it. He's done. He's done. Horatio. This lapwing runs away with the shell on his head. Hamlet. He did comply with his dug before he sucked it. Thus he has, and many more of his same bevy that I know the drusy age doubts, only got the time and outward habit of the encounter, and yet yeasty collection which carries them through and through the most fond and windowed opinions, and do but blow them in the trial of the bubbles are out. They move from side to side, they wince. There's, they're mocking Osric, pardon me. Enter a lord, the Lord. My lord, his majesty commended me to you by young Orsic, who brings back to him that you attend him in the hall. He sends it to you know that your pleasure hold to play with Laertes, or will you take a longer time? They move very quickly in here, don't they? Hamlet, I am constant to my purpose. They followed the king's pleasure. If his fitness speaks, mine is ready, now or whenever, provided that I will be able as now. Lord, the king and queen are all coming down. Hamlet, in happy time. Lord, the queen desires you to use some gentle entertainment to Laertes before you fall to play. She well instructs me. The Lord leaves. Horatio says, you're going to lose this wager, my lord. I don't think so, says Hamlet. Since he went into France, I have been in continual practice. I shall win at the odds. But thou wouldst not think how ill all's here about my heart. But it is no matter. So he's saying he still feels really bad, but he's going to win. Nay, my good lord, it is but foolery, but it is such a kind of gain-giving as would perhaps trouble a woman. Well, if your mind dislike anything, obey it. So if you're not comfortable, in other words, Horatio's telling him, don't do it. I will forestall their repair hither and say that you're just not fit. Hamlet says, not a whit we defy augury. There's no special providence in the fall of a sparrow. If it be now, it's not to come. And if it not be to come, it will be now. And if it not be now, yet it will come. The readiness is of all, since no man has aught of what he leaves, but what isn't to leave at bedtimes. Augury is a sign of what will happen in the future. No one really knows. So here come the king and the queen, Laertes. Here they all come on stage, Osric, attendants. The king, come, Hamlet, come, take this hand from me. The king puts Laertes' hand into Hamlet's hand. Hamlet, give me your pardon, sir. I've done you wrong. Very important line. He's talking to Laertes. Give me your pardon, sir. I've done you wrong. But pardon as you are a gentleman. This presence knows, and you must needs have heard, how I am punished with sore distraction. In other words, I'm really been acting silly, crazy. What I have done that might your nature, honor, and exception roughly awake, I here proclaim was madness. He's saying that I was crazy. Was Hamlet wrong, Laertes? Never Hamlet. If Hamlet from himself, he's talking about himself now in the third person. Very interesting. Never, if Hamlet from himself be taken away, and when he's not himself does wrong, Laertes, then Hamlet does it not. Hamlet denies it. Well, who was it then? His madness. And if it be so, Hamlet is of the faction that it is wrong. His madness is poor Hamlet's enemy. Sir, in this audience, let my disclaiming from a purposed evil free me far in your most generous thoughts, that I have shot mine arrow over the house and I have hurt my brother. So he's basically, this is his way of saying, I was really, really wrong. It wasn't me, it was my madness. Laertes, I am satisfied in nature, whose motive is this case should stir me most to my revenge. but in my terms of honor, I stand aloof, and will no reconcilement till by some elder masters of known honor I have a voice and precedent of peace, to keep my name ungorged. But until that time, I do receive your offer of love that like love, and I will not wrong. In other words, I'm still ticked off. I want to have my revenge, but okay, we'll be buddies. Hamlet, I embrace it freely. Now, don't forget why Laertes is saying this, right? Don't forget what happened between the king and Laertes. They've got a plan going. They're going to tip his sword with poison. Plan B is going to be to poison that wine that Hamlet's going to drink. They want Hamlet to drink when he sweats up. I embrace it freely, and will this my brother wager frankly play? Give us the foils. Come on. Laertes, come on, one for me. Hamlet, I will be your foil, Laertes, in my ignorance, and your skill shall, like a star in the darkest night, stick fiery off indeed. You mock me, sir. No, by this hand. Give them the foils, young Osric. Cousin Hamlet, you know the wager. You know the wager? Hamlet, very well, my lord. Your grace had laid the odds on the weaker side. I do not fear it. I have seen you both, but since he is bettered, we shall therefore have odds. So he's betting against Hamlet, right? Or for Hamlet. Laertes, this is too heavy. Give me another one. So remember, he's picking the foil with the poison. Hamlet, this likes me well. These foils have a length. They all have length. They prepare to play. The word play here is used to mean fencing. Osric, aye, my good lord. They have length. They all have the same length. King, set me the stoups of wine on that table. Don't forget what's in the wine. If Hamlet gives the first or second hit or quit in answer to the third exchange, let all the battlements and their ordnance fire. The king shall drink to Hamlet's better breath, and in the cup an union shall be throw, richer than that which four successive kings in Denmark's crown have worn. Give me the cups, and let the kettle to the trumpet speak. The trumpet to the cannoneer without, and the cannons to the heavens, and the heavens to the earth. That's a big thing going on here, right? Now the king drinks to Hamlet. Come, begin. And you judges, bear your wary eye. Hamlet, come on, sir. Laertes, come, my lord. And they play. So they sword fight, right? They're fencing. Hamlet goes, 1. Laertes, no, meaning you didn't hit me. Hamlet, judgment or success. It's a hit, very palatable hit. Laertes says, okay, again. King says, stay. Give me a drink, Hamlet. This pearl is thine. Here's to thy health. King's trying to have him take a drink, right? Take a drink, because it looks like Hamlet might be pretty good swordsman, right? Okay. I put a little note up here about fencing. Fencing matches are timed with each bout lasting 3 minutes or until a fencer scores 15 points. Points are awarded based on where the fencer makes their contact, etc. Okay, trumpets sound and the cannon shoots off within. So it's really the celebration going on. Boom. Note the king wants him to drink. Give him the cup. Hamlet says, no, I'll play this bout first. Set it a while. Come. And they play again. They sword fight. Another hit. What do you say? What say you? Laertes says, a touch, I do confess. Remember, when they say hit, they're not really stabbing each other. They're touching each other. They probably have some protective thing in front of them so that they don't mistakenly stab each other. They don't want to stab each other in fencing. They want to touch. It's a touch, right? King, our son shall win. Queen, he's hot and scant of breath. Here, Hamlet, take my napkin and rub thy brows. The queen carouses to thy fortune, Hamlet. Royalty sometimes talks in the third person, right? Hamlet says, good madam, Gertrude, do not drink, says the king. Queen, I will, my lord. I pray you, pardon me. And she drinks. She's drinking from the cup. She's going to help Hamlet wipe him. She wants to wipe his face off, but she's also got the cup. And she's thirsty, so she drinks. The king says, don't drink it. The king says aside, it's the poison cup. It's too late. Hamlet, I dare not drink yet, madam, by the by. He doesn't want to drink yet, right? Queen, come, let me wipe thy face. Laertes says, my lord, I'll hit him now. King says, I don't think so. Laertes decided, and yet it's almost against my conscience. This is an important line. Laertes is having second thoughts. Hamlet, come for the third, Laertes. You, but daily, I pray you, pass your best violence. Come on. I am afraid that you may make a wanton of me. In other words, you're not going to really, you're playing with me. Laertes, say you what? Come on, they play. They sword fight for a while. Orsic says, nothing, neither way. None of them touched each other. Laertes, have at you now? Laertes wounds Hamlet. He basically wounds him. He stabs him. When they're not playing, the playing is over. They were pausing, and he stabs him. So they start scuffling. They change foils. Somehow the foils get mixed up, and Hamlet wounds Laertes. And you know what's on the tip of that sword, right? That fencing sword. So they scuffle. Laertes stabs Hamlet. They scuffle. The foils are exchanged. Probably one drops one. You can read some of the notes. And Hamlet then wounds Laertes. And the king says, part them. They are incensed. They're incensed. Hamlet, no, come on again. The queen falls. Orsic, look, the queen. Oh, Horatio, they bleed on both sides. How is it, my lord? They bleed on both sides. Horatio says, how is it, my lord? He's asking Hamlet, you're bleeding. He's bleeding. Orsic says, how is it, Laertes? And Laertes says, why, as a woodcock to mine own springe. Orsic, I am justly killed with my own treachery. I got caught in my own trap. Hamlet, how does the queen? King, she swoons to see them bleed. See, he knows what happened to the queen, but he's not even saying, he's just saying, oh, because they're both cut, they're bleeding. The queen says, no, it's the drink. Oh, my dear Hamlet, the drink, I was poisoned. And she dies. Hamlet, villainy, lock the door, lock it, treachery, seek it out. Laertes, it's here, Hamlet. Hamlet, thou art slain. No medicine in the world can do thee good. In thee there is not half an hour of life. The treacherous instrument is in my hand. Unbaited and unenvenomed, thy foul practice hath turned itself on me too low. Here I lie, never to rise again. Thy mother poisoned. I can do more. The king is to blame. Hamlet, the point? Envenomed? Then venom to thy work. And he stabs the king. Everybody starts screaming, treason, treason. The king, oh, defend me, friends. I'm just hurt. He doesn't know that the foils were exchanged. Hamlet, hear thou incestuous, murderous damdane. Drink off this portion. Is thy union here? Follow thy mother. Follow my mother. But the king dies. He's trying to get him to drink from the poison cup, but he doesn't have to because he stabbed him with the poison foil. And the king dies. Laertes, he is justly served. It is a poison tempered by himself. Exchange forgiveness with me, noble Hamlet. Mine and my father's death come not upon thee, nor thine on me. And he dies. Hamlet, heaven make thee free of it. I follow thee. I am dead, Horatio. Wretched queen, adieu. Goodbye. You that look pale and tremble at this chance, that are but mutes or audience to this act, had I but time at this fell sergeant death, servant death, is strict in his arrests. Oh, I could tell you if he had time to this servant death, right? He can tell him. And there's some notes down here to pay attention to look at. Edwin Booth says Hamlet in his struggle, toil, that's what happened with the swords. Sergeant was in the middle of the sheriff whose business it was to make arrests and execute. That's 659 here. As this fell sergeant death is strict in his arrest, oh, I could tell you. This is a wrong interpretation in Jimmy's opinion. When he's talking about the sergeant here, he's saying the sergeant was the title of the sheriff's officer whose business was to make arrests. That's not true. Sergeant, the Old English for that is servant. Of this fell servant death. It has nothing to do with an old, a sheriff of Nottingham or whatever. It's a servant. The servant, death is the servant of all of us, right? But let it be, Horatio, I am dead. Thou livest, report me in my cause aright to the unsatisfied. Horatio, never believe it. I am more an antique Roman than I am a Dane. Here's yet some liquor left. Gives him some wine. Hamlet, as thou art the man, give me the cup and let go by heaven. I've had it. Oh, good Horatio, what a wonderful name. Things standing thus unknown shall live behind me. If thou didst ever hold me in thy heart, absent thee from felicity a while, and in this harsh would draw thy breath in pain to tell my story. Marching afar off, shots within. There's something's going on. What warlike noise is this? Horserick, it's young Fortinbras with conquest from Poland to the ambassadors of England gives the warlike volley. Oh, I die, Horatio. So Fortinbras is coming back. The potent poison quite overcrows my spirit. I cannot live to hear the news from England. But I do prophesy that election lights of Fortinbras, he has my dying voice. So tell him, with the accoutrements more or less, which have solicited. And Hamlet dies. Horatio, the rest is silence. Now cracks a noble heart. Good night, sweet prince. And flights of angels sing thee to thy rest. What does the drum hither? March within, march within. Here comes Fortinbras, the English ambassadors. Where is this sight? What is it ye would see? Horatio says, if aught of woe and wonder cease your search, for this the quarry carries on. Havoc, proud death, what feast is toward thine in the eternal cell that thou, so merry princes, at a shot so bloodily has struck? In other words, what is this, all these dead bodies? First ambassador, the sight is dismal, and our affairs from England come too late. The ears are senseless that should give us hearing to tell if his commandment is fulfilled, that Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead, just like he ordered. Where should we have our thanks? Horatio, not from his mouth. Had it the ability of life to thank you, he never gave commandment for their death. But since so jump upon the bloody question, you from the Polack wars and you from England, ere you here arrive, give order to these bodies. High on the stage be placed to view. And let me speak to the yet unknowing world how these things came about. So shall you hear of carnal, bloody, and unnatural acts, of accidental judgments, casual slaughters, of deaths put on by cunning and forced cause, and of this upshot purposes mistook. Fall on the inventors reads, all this I can truly deliver. This is actually an excellent summary of what we just saw in this whole play, isn't it? Fortinbras. Well, let us haste to hear it, and called the noblest to the audience. For me, with sorrow, I embrace my fortune. I have some rights of memory in this kingdom. I'm kind of like tied to the kingdom through heritage, right? Which now to claim my vantage doth invite me. Horatio, of that I shall have also cause to speak. And from his mouth, whose voice will draw on more, but let this same be presently performed, even while men's minds are wild, lest more mischance on plots and errors happen. In other words, I'm going to tell you are correct. You're the heir apparent, but we're going to talk about this, and we got to do it sooner than later before more chaos ensues. Fortinbras, let four captains bear Hamlet like a soldier to the stage. In other words, where they're going to stage the body, right? For he was likely, and he has been put on, to have proved most royally. And for his passage, the soldiers' music and the rites of war speak loudly for him. Take up the bodies. Such a sight as this becomes the field, but here shows much amiss. In other words, in the field of battle, there's bodies, but here something's amiss. Go, bid the soldiers shoot. A dead march, exit bearing the dead bodies, after which a pearl of ordnance is shot off, cannon. The end. So what do you think? If you stuck with me throughout the entire reading of Hamlet, you can now say, I read Hamlet. But more importantly, you should have walked away, hopefully, with a new understanding of the power of words. Ladies and gentlemen, that's all they did in those days. That's all they had is words, right? They had actions and words. And nowadays we got the communication channels. We still use words, but how lame our words seem to be compared to Shakespeare's words. Words are handled by a master craftsman. Shakespeare was a master craftsman of words. And why is it good to know that? Because you are not, if you're not 400 years old, you're not using those words. You're using lame words, words that, are, wow, how's the sunset? Beautiful. Shakespeare would never just say beautiful. And you can read Shakespeare's poems and see how a craftsman of words describes the sunset. In any case, remember, this was written 400 years ago, and how much has changed since then besides language. And yet, how much hasn't changed? How much hasn't changed? People are still greedy and plotting and evil and good. Thank you very much. Hope you read the final analysis. You've been reading with Jimmy. This is Jimmy. Before I conclude, I want to draw attention back to when they introduced the dramatic personnel here. I put arrows by the people who died. And now you know why they call it a tragedy, right? The king dies, Hamlet dies, Polonius dies, Laertes dies, Rosencrantz and Guildenstern dies, Gertrude dies, Ophelia dies. Of course, the guy who started it all was Hamlet's father, the ghost, who died. So, and by the way, when you read Renaissance literature like this, Elizabethan tragedies like this is not the worst with dead bodies. I think there's one called "'Tis a Pity She's a Whore." I have to look that up. Fades from my memory sometimes, but this is a horrible tragedy. And again, summed up, if I may go back for 1 second, by what Horatio said here. Let me speak about carnal, bloody, unnatural acts, accidental judgments, casual slaughters, deaths put on by cunning, forced cause, purposely mistook, and easily fall. So basically, Horatio summed it up perfectly with this tragedy. And it is a tragedy. And hopefully you felt something for pity, what Aristotle says. Thank you so much. This was a pleasure, a long, long, long journey reading Hamlet. Thank you for visiting. Please read the final analysis of Hamlet. Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com, with Jimmy.com, Jimmy at readingwithjimmy.com. Look forward to your emails, and we'll probably I've been getting a lot of emails, so I may even have a section in this Hamlet thing about the type of emails I've been getting. Thanks. Have a great day. Congratulations, by the way, if you finished it with me.